We're on?
You're on.
Yay! Good morning. Still is morning. We're a little bit late. Sorry about that. Alright. What do we got going on today? Well, a little bit of men at work, so I got some down under happening. Keep the kitchen alive. This morning we're going to do a siphon. This little gadget over here. Looks very cool. It is a lot of fun. Not to be sexist or anything, but it's really a fun boys' toy. Fire involved, a little bit of chemistry, a little bit of physics, and an all-round fun. And of course, it looks a little bit contraband style coffee making. So that's the siphon. We'll get to that in a little bit, and we'll make some coffee with it. Of course, I've got a couple of different versions. I've got a nice metal filter. I've got this really cool, funky glass filter, and I also have the regular cloth filter, which these guys come with. And I'll run through and give you guys ideas. This is all just about what we can get our hands on in the kitchen and what we as Oceana sell, what can get from Amazon, all those fun things. Some of the things that we personally like to use as a tool to make coffee at home. So the siphon runs for about 75 bucks. It comes with a little white spirits fuel source. So you can light it. It's got its own little wick. It all comes set ready to roll and make coffee. That's 75 bucks complete. There's a little upgrade you can buy. One of these Perco flamethrowers. I think they're $50. They're worth it. These guys, they're fully rechargeable. Little gas torch you can get from anywhere, Publix and Home Depot and whatever else, and you can just have it on hand the whole time. Awesome little thing. So that's one of the devices we'll be playing with today. The other one of my favorites, the moka pot. Bagliete, been around. These guys are Italian. Been around since like in the early 1900s. I think it says there 1919. So massive amount of history. I bought this. I've owned a few of these, but I just bought this new one this week, I think, to do this, and it cost me $22 on Amazon. So cheap, easy, and it replicates espresso very well. Little side story: if you ever get to go visit Italy, I was lucky enough to spend 6 months in Italy, and one of the most important things, if you're a guest in a house in Italy, you'll find probably, I would say, no less than half a dozen of these sitting on the kitchen sink and up in the window of the households. Don't be a great guest. Don't be a great house guest and think you're doing them a favor by washing it. Don't touch them. The biggest trick for these things, one of the biggest don'ts for these little baglietes is never wash it with soap. I know it sounds strange to lots and lots of people, and it sounds against the thing that we're all going through right now, but these guys, part of the beauty of them is the seasoning of them and how they are seasoned. These guys make espresso style coffee, and what happens is the water is in the bottom here, it pushes up through the grounds in the middle. We can pull this one apart. And it ends up, the coffee oils and the coffee sediment end up in the top, up in here, and you end up with a nice embedded coating within the material that it's made of. So don't wash them. Honestly, don't wash them with soap. You can rinse them with water and wipe them out with paper towels and whatnot. But yeah, especially if you're in Italy, that's it. You'll be exited from the household in a heartbeat.
You'll lose a friend.
You'll lose a friend. Yeah, luckily I was lucky enough to spend 6 months in it with the project over there, and love the place, love Italy, love the people. One of my favourite countries to visit and to live in. So Bagliete. This one here is a six cup. What it actually makes when you fill these guys and when you operate with these, it actually makes 4 2-ounce cups. So 2 ounces is a standard espresso, is a standard double espresso shot. It's pretty hard to get anything else in Italy other than a double espresso shot anywhere. But this little guy here comes with the pot, with the moka pot, and it's a great definition. I posted it up on my feed, on Facebook. It actually gives you the technical breakdown of a real Americanos, cappuccinos, macchiatos, lattes, and actually gives you the correct old school sizing. Both Italy and Australia both run on standard sizing of around 6 to 8 ounces of a drink. So you'll notice that these guys are only using 2 ounces and equal parts, especially when it comes to cappuccino. It's equal parts espresso, milk, and foam. And then your lattes the ratio changes. Espresso, 1/3 espresso, 2/3 milk and steam milk. So yeah, a little bit of trivia. Had a little bit of entertaining with myself this morning. I thought, I'll just quickly read through the instructions and see, just to make sure I'm talking about the right things at the right time. And I thought the littlest piece of equipment that I have in my kitchen comes with the smallest amount of instructions. So I thought that was entertaining for me. I thought I'd share that with all you all. But I did read, thankfully, each one of these columns.
You can read it in French, Italian,
I can still read Italian. So, thankfully and funny enough, each one of these is a different language. Dutch, German, Australian even, so everyone's covered.
Kyle Stone says he votes for Goose, just so you know.
Good lad. So yes, the girls behind the scenes decided I was going to show. This is one way of Scotty showing his personality. My number one movie of all time is Top Gun, so there you go. We can keep this place sorted out. It'll be Maverick and Goose. What are we going to start with? I think we'll start with the moka pot. Super simple to use. I've pre-ground some coffee over here because it's not an exact science. And not, like I've said before, I said last week also, that coffee, if you want it to be, it can be a massively geek-driven industry, and it can be technically mind-bending. There's guys out there who take it to the nth degree. But I'm here for you guys at home, and I'm here to show you that you can still, with some care and with some really simple procedures, you can make great coffee at home every single time. And it's all about consistency. It's all about using the right water, using the right coffee, of course, using fresh roasted coffee. If you're watching me from afar, definitely support your local guys. If you're up there in Arkansas, check out Onyx, and my buddies up there, Mike Michelson, the head roaster of Onyx Coffee Lab. Bond Life up there in Tennessee. He's not in Tennessee. Where is he?
Yeah, he's in Chattanooga.
Chattanooga. He's
right outside
Cleveland. Anyway, Jeremy and Erica from Bond Life doing an awesome job up there, of course. Who else do we got? Crimson Cup, Brandon Burr. Lots and lots and lots everywhere. You've got Peak Coffee there in Port Macquarie, Australia. Anyone and everyone you can think about. Yeah, Geordie's wearing a Peak shirt over there. Support your local roasters. In these times we are all struggling. This is not a game. I think the financial fallout this is not political. This is not anything else but having some fun, and the girls getting me from behind the roaster and out in the front of you all. So back to the moka pot. I've already pre-filled it. Actually, if you look, what we'll do is, can't really zoom in a lot, but what I'll show you guys, it comes in 3 pieces. We've got the water chamber, and you see this little relief valve here on the side. It's actually coincides with where you can fill it to internally. So you fill it to just below the little relief valve over here, and then this is like the group basket for an espresso machine. So what we do is on here, honestly, I really just fill it to below the top level. So I put that in there. So the water's already in there. You can see what I'm up to, make sure. And then I just really, you can use a spoon or you can rough it and just sprinkle it in there. Spoon's probably going to make it look a whole lot nicer and a lot easier. But hell, we'll rough it, why not? We got this. So just make sure, a couple of things to be aware of. It is very, very similar to espresso. So make sure the top edge up here is clean and ground free. And then underneath, you can see on these guys, underneath there's a little rubber gasket, okay, and the brew screen up in top of here. So make sure that's wiped free and clean of grounds. Put the two together, and whatever you have, you know, there's lots of different methods for heating these things. There's a couple of things to be aware of as well. I'm going to use my hot top here. Yeah, I'll use this one over here. I'll use the smaller one to help concentrate it on. So initially what I do is I fire it up to high, making sure I don't have any other pieces of equipment on the wrong pieces of hot top so I don't melt everything. But
we say from experience.
We say from experience. I say that's just me. So I've got it on high. Away it goes. It does take a couple of minutes to get warm and to warm the water and start working. What it does work on is pressure. So with the two compartments screwed together and sealed up, the water heats up. It then creates the steam within the chamber. Actually pushes the water back up through the middle of the brew little brew basket that we were looking at, and then the water under pressure pushes up against the coffee bed in reverse. So it pushes up through the bottom and it comes up out the top. There's a little up here. There's a little. It's like a little valve, like a little pressure relief valve sitting inside here that creates some resistance for the coffee to back pressure through the screen, so through the brew screen. So that's it is mimicking espresso, but not at the same pressures of the machine and the mechanical setup that we have inside an espresso machine. The one we showed you with the Tempo Q from Calphalon last week, and also even the large commercial machines that we use as well. So miniature version, I love these. I really, really do. These guys, I had a blast in Italy just experimenting with lots and lots of different coffees and lots and lots of different methods. What I have done in the past and what I have played with also in espresso world is being able to put two different coffees as layers within the brew basket. And it actually, if you change them, you know, let's say you've got, you know, pick up a couple of Oceania coffees, you know, maybe we've got Timor and Brazil, and we do Timor on the bottom and Brazil on top, and then we brew that, drink it, taste it, see what's going on, and dissect the flavors. And then the other one is flip it, you know, so then you've got Brazil on the bottom, Timor on the top, and you'll actually notice that the chemical interactions, I get that right? Interactions actually change, and it is two completely different espressos. We got a question.
Where's the best place to purchase one of those pots?
Honestly, I'd love to say Oceania Coffee, but honestly, this one cost me $22 from Amazon. Amazon moka pot, Bagliete moka pot. This is the 6 cup. I think it's perfect.
Publix has them too.
Publix has them too. These guys, they've been around so long. They're pretty well available anyway. I will say on a side note, you know, and let me just back up just real quick. I'll give you some history of me. Me, the guy. I am back in the mid 80s. Hey, let's age myself. Back in the mid 80s, I joined the Royal Australian Navy as an apprentice and marine propulsion systems, and so from there I went to private industry, and then I ended up in the private yachting world. So I'm a marine engineer by profession. Getting back to the story, there's been a long and lots of associations with you guys say aluminum, I say aluminium, base metals for brewing different pieces of equipment. What I would say is, like I said in the beginning, once you've got a coating on this little unit, then you're pretty well safe. The oils absorb and the sediments absorb into the metal, and it protects any of us against it. You can find these guys in stainless steel. So if you're ever worried about anything like this, or those, those things and bits and pieces, you can always find them in stainless steel. I'm not sure about Valiente make them in stainless, but anyway.
They do actually.
Yeah, so
you have to
Valiente
order
make them
those.
in. You gotta order them. Long story. $22 for this one. I paid $22 on Amazon. It took a couple of days to get to me. We do have in the household somewhere. We have a moka pot in the house somewhere, maybe. A very, very cool one. It actually makes cappuccino in the unit. So you add your water, you add your coffee, and you fill the top reservoir with milk, and it actually steams the milk and adds the coffee, and you pour it out later on. So it's a pretty cool little thing, and it's even painted like a cow.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we picked that up when we were over there.
It's called a moka.
It's called a moka, so a moka pot.
See if I can find it. And
So pretty funny. Very, very cool. Very, very effective. And mechanically, and because of those kind of things, it fascinates me, because the way my brain works is very mechanically minded. It's very mechanically inquisitive. So how things work and how they operate and how somebody's invented something to do what it's meant to do is amazing. So love that side of it. Love this aspect of it.
There's another question
Shoot.
pertaining to that pot. We did a French press last week.
Mm-hmm.
So how is the flavor difference there? How would you describe the difference? Because both of them are using a metal filter, so you're going to get some of the sediment and oils in both of those cups.
Yeah, you'll see when we do brew at the end of this, there is some sediment left over, but the difference is that the French press is under extraction. It's just a poured water coffee interaction extraction. This is using pressure, so there's actual pressure buildup inside of here, and so it's mimicking espresso. So it is much more, the flavor profiles of this is much more intense, but the same mouthfeel is here. So this mimics espresso. It's not quite as intense, so we can hear it starting to boil. Can we see it?
Whoa! Let me get closer.
I can't get closer.
I can.
What I'll do is I'll turn it off and I'll move it aside so you can hear it, and I'm just going to raise it up just a little bit, see if we can see it happening.
Yep, you can see it.
And so you can actually see the crema as well, because it's under pressure. Everything's getting pushed through the coffee grounds, and so we're ready to roll there. So cool little setup. I'm going to push it over just a little bit, make sure we've got full extraction and full happening. But back to the question, this one happens under pressure, so a little bit more intense. You don't need as much. Like for a French press, you can use the whole thing in a cup. Mm-hmm. This one, I wouldn't suggest you use the whole thing. I would suggest it out of this. I would use 2 to 4 ounces, depending on your flavor likes and profiles. But I would only use 2 to 4 ounces, and if you're going to make an Americano or a cup of coffee, then dilute the rest with hot water. Or if you're going to have a milk base, then you can do a 50-50.
So this is a great way to mimic an espresso.
This is one of the great ways to mimic espresso at home. I think, what are we doing tomorrow? Because there's a couple other things we're going to do that, of course we keep this budget orientated. So a couple other things for espresso base. AeroPress, we can mess around with that tomorrow possibly. And I've got some gadgets like Mr. Coffee we'll probably mess around with as well. That's cool. But like I said I think last week, I mess around with lots and lots of different gadgets. Single serve espressos, camping, AeroPress also mimic a great espresso base. But so here you go. And you can see with this, it is actually really intense looking coffee up the top here in the brew head. You're having a coffee?
Yes, please.
What would you like with it? Are you going to do it in there? Do you want Americano or do you want I can steam up some milk too.
Oh, I'd love a little steamed milk with that. We're
All
gonna
right,
cheat
so-
and use the
I'm
Ranchilio.
gonna cheat. So I'm not sure the camera's gonna be able.
Somebody said, "What's the thing with the cow on it?" Moka.
Moka pot.
Moka pot. How do you
I
spell that,
tried-
Amy Angela?
So I tried to.
M-double-O-K.
I actually found it on. Here, I'll put a link in the comments.
MOOKA.
Yeah.
Yeah, here I found it on Amazon. I will copy and paste it into our little comments here. Back to it.
We need them to. We need to get an affiliation code for Oceania or something on Amazon. Anyway. So you can see that in my shot there.
Yeah, wait, let me get closer. Hold on. Hold up, wait a minute.
Alright, so let's look at it. It's, as you can see, much heavier. And I'm going to do a 50-50 for Amy. So we'll do about that much. You can see it's really intense. It's really thick, heavy.
It's got a heavy body,
It's got a heavy body.
mouthfeel.
And we'll just add a little bit of steamed oat milk.
Wow, you can even get some art with that. That's crazy. Good job.
So that's with our, I did that with our espresso blend. So built for this kind of environment, built for this kind of, how is it?
It's delicious.
I might try this one.
Some single origin coffees that would be great in that as well. If you like more of a lighter roast, the Brazil would be great. And if you like something a little bit heavier, the Bali or the Sumatra would be a great option. All of these are available on the website as well that we're using today.
Yeah, both of these guys, both Brazil, and actually Timor is another one that would work well with it. Give it a little bit, it's something that's got a little bit of body, and it's also got a little bit of sweetness. You want something, honestly, and it all depends on flavour, you know, it's very objective and subjective. Everybody's flavours and taste buds are very different. Some, you know, if you like the sweeter, more caramelly style coffees, then it's definitely down the path of Brazil. If you like the heavier based bodies of different coffees, then anything out of Indonesia is always good. But if you're really adventurous and you really want to ramp it up a little bit and you want something with a little bit more fruity and a little bit more acidity, then you know the Africans, Ethiopians, very much so.
We just had a question about frothing milk at home. I think
Yep.
that could be a good one maybe next weekend. Like, what are some good home milk frothers to try and use?
Yeah, that's actually a really good question. I was thinking that myself this morning. There are a couple of little bits and pieces, and you know what? Actually, there's one that you can use. We can do
some research
We'll do some
and bring
research,
some.
and what we'll do is we'll do some playing around. One that I have seen work really well is if you have one of those smaller French presses. It's like a single cup French press, or even.
It's like a three. They call it like a 3 cup or something.
Yeah.
It's
So
really
and
small.
it gets a little. It might get a little messy, but I have seen those work, and I have actually used them. What you can do is you can warm the milk. The best thing is that you have to warm the milk. So you can warm it on a hot top, which I would suggest is probably the better way to do it versus doing the microwave. But warm it a little bit in the hot top. Pour it into the smaller French press, and you pump it up and down. And actually, what you're doing is you're doing what we do with the commercial machines, and that is you are forcing air into the milk and starting to break up the proteins and starting to create bubbles and forcing air into it, and you start getting that little bit of a texture finish is what you're looking for in the milk. So what we'll do is we'll do some experimenting ourselves. We'll get some products in, and we will talk to you guys and walk you through easier and cheap ways, and we'll look at ways to do a bit of milk hacking. I think it might be milk hacking with Scotty in the kitchen. Could be interesting, and I may even see what I can do about creating my own things too. Also, actually leading to that, we'll bring out a little machine tomorrow. Actually, what we'll do is we'll bring out a little machine tomorrow. Price point wise, it is amazing. It's $50 or $60, and it's an all-in-one Mr. Coffee, and it can make you espresso and it can steam milk too. So
Jen just made a good comment. Mother's Day is coming up.
Mother's Day's coming up.
Well, the Mother's Day, you might want that big Calphalon machine. Just saying, that's.
Oh, you're right. You really just step it up in the.
Yeah, Kyle, the Calphalons are at Oceana Coffee for
Yep.
Jen.
There you go. So that's the moka pot. It is one of my favorites. I know lots of people, you hear probably from me, I have lots of different things. I mess around with lots and lots of stuff. I have lots of different ways I brew coffee and do lots of different things. What's Grace want to do?
So, Grace would like to help you. However,
Well,
she wants to be your prop girl or maybe help measure out some coffee. So,
awesome.
Grace is going to make her debut on Facebook Live today
Lucky.
as one of the coffee kids.
Come on in.
Go on in.
Come on in.
Go on, help Dad.
Say hi. My beautiful daughter Grace.
Hi.
This one, as you know, my kids have been around. Actually, this one was 3 months old when we opened Oceana Coffee. No, she wasn't.
6 months old when we were looking for a space, so about 9 months old when we opened.
9 months old and she's old. How old are you now?
9.
9. So, Oceana Coffee kid. Grace has actually and can actually operate machines around the place. She can operate the espresso machines at both locations and has done. Both of our kids work in the industry, well, in the industry. Both of our kids help out in the shop. Geordie, you'll find Geordie often on a weekend earning extra money and extra pocket money, making K-cups for us and packing bags and labeling bags, and so he helps out as well. But Grace wanted to jump in front of the camera this morning and be seen and help out. There was a point, so that which is a great lead up because it brings us to my next.
We have one
toy.
more question, I'm sorry, about the moka pot.
Yep.
Does it work on a gas stove?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes,
Yeah,
okay.
it does. But there is one thing to be very careful of when you're using a gas stove with these guys is don't use full heat. All right, so make sure that you're not blasting away.
Full flame heat.
Full flame.
Over the...
No, reason is because it is aluminum.
Okay.
All right, so you don't want it. You just want it to gently, continually be warmed and build up heat and build momentum. It does actually take.
So maybe
a
the
couple minutes.
stainless one better for the gas stove?
No, I'd use this on
Usually
gas.
aluminum? Okay.
Yeah, that's all we get in Italy.
All right,
There's
cool.
always a gas stove. They're working built for it. They're built really well. Just don't. The one thing is not to walk away from it and remember that it's on, and don't walk away from it. They're two things with this one. Purely because it does take the time. It does get a little bit, it's boring watching it. It's like watching paint dry. But honestly, it takes a couple of minutes and you're done. So just be aware of the safety aspects of these things. What?
Hello, David Leong.
Ah, Mr. Leon. Anyway, so I'm going to go back to the siphon. This is a Yama siphon. This is a Yama 5-cup siphon. They actually measure it as 5 cups. Like we said last week, 5 cups relative to who? Honestly, this is what we can do is actually we can quickly do a reference call, and we'll grab. You want to grab me a measuring jug?
Kayla, you're a top fan of Oceana Coffee. Did you know that? Celebrity status, it says. Top fan. Woo!
Kayla Reed.
Yeah, it says she's
Good
our
morning.
top fan.
Good morning, beautiful. How are you? Been around a long time. Was one of our team members.
We said Kyle needs to get Jen the espresso machine for Mother's Day, and he put my birthday's in 2 weeks.
So what we'll do a quick measurement, reference how much the 5 cups is marked on here versus what it is in fluid measurements. Do we have is there metric on there? You're gonna have to read this for me. Is it metric? Can we see metric on there at all?
That's nice.
Okay, so what we'll do, we'll fill this with up to 5 cups.
There's 2 for Jeremy.
Alright, so I'm not sure. Let's see if we can see. If you guys can see, I'll put my glasses on so I can see a little bit. On the side here,
I can get up closer.
on the side here is some markings. We've got So each one of these on the top there is a 5 cup, and then it marks it down. I think there's a 4 and a 3 down here somewhere. So I think that's just generalized references. What we're going to do is we're going to find out how much liquid their 5 cups actually comes out to be. And we'll do a quick bit of math and division. And see, and it's this is very, very, very deceiving of how much liquid is actually held in that. So on here we're talking, it's more than 16 ounces, so it's probably, what, 20 ounces, so 4 ounces a cup. What did we say last week? We were at 5 ounces, I think.
Yeah, it was like 5 ounces.
So these guys here, it's Japanese, is 4 ounces per cup.
Did we say the brand? It's Yama, right?
Yama, yeah. So we're looking at about 600 mils. We're looking at about 20 ounces. So there you go. So what? A little bit of help to reference who's doing what in measurements. So we're talking 4 ounces per cup. So what I do with these guys is, and this is where Grace actually helped me, and she used to help me and want to make coffee with this. She used to help me make coffee with this thing every single morning. This was most definitely my go-to way of drinking coffee every single morning for myself for a long stretch. How long did I do that for? Maybe a year?
Year or two.
Yeah, I was doing that for a long time, wasn't I? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pour it back in here. So my thing is that I fill it up to a specific mark in here.
Add water help it instead.
And the more you use it, you'll start to see where your amount is. We work with Palm Beach. It's a big hotel on Palm Beach here, and they have a certain mark that they use to serve this tableside. So you'll get into a habit of, okay, I'm at number 5, or I'm right at this little line where the words are. So you'll just get to feel what's right for you and your family.
So 14. So my measurement here, I knew what I used to do here in the mornings. I use 22 grams of coffee. I use 22 grams of coffee ground for drip filter, and I filled it up to the 5 line. The reason I do that is because it's only Amy and I. So two of us, and we only use, in the mornings, we only use this size cup. And this is about, what's this, about an 8 ounce? I think it's roughly about an 8 ounce cup. So this line here gives me 2 really nice fills in this size cup. So it was, of course, like I said to you guys, it's a bit of playing around, it's a bit of backwards and forwards and understanding what it is and who it is in the kitchen doing what for where. So how's that mocha pot?
Oh, it's good.
Isn't there another part of that?
I would have liked a little more coffee, a little less milk, but it's delicious.
Dad, isn't there another
Actually, it is
part
really
to
good.
just-
And for being a young piece of equipment, it is really, really good. Say that again.
Isn't there another part of this for the coffee?
There is. So the fun part of this contraption is that it uses physics and chemistry as its brewing method. All right, so let's start out with how it gets put together. There's multiple different ways, and I'm going to show a little bit of a geek side of me and what goes on around here. The brew chamber. You've got the water chamber and you've got the brew chamber, and you've got this rubber stopper in between it all. It needs to be nice and clean. They actually go together quite firmly. We'll come back to that, but what I am going to show you guys is the different filter methods that you can use on this piece of equipment. One of them, Grace is going to hold it up there for me, is the cloth filter that comes with it. So standard, it comes with the cloth filter. This is what the internal of that cloth filter looks like. So it comes with a nice metal piece, a string, and a hook, and there's a reason for that. It also comes really well packaged. This is how it comes inside the kit, and you take this off. Give this a little wiggle, you take it off. You be very careful because it's all glass and it will stand there just like that for us. So, over to the filters. Grace was showing us the cloth one. It wraps around the back of the piece that we were showing. You tie it up, and it's just a nice cloth filter. This is made of calico, probably something like that.
Linen or something.
Linen or calico. There's a hook on the bottom there, and a little, it's like a pull string, and there's a reason. I'll show you what happens. You guys lower it down into here, let it go, and then you pull down on the spring and then latch the hook to the edge of the glass chamber. So it hooks in place, the filter's in there, it's in place, and so away we go. What I'm going to do is we'll pop that one out, and then I'll show you guys the other ones. The next step up is if you want to want a reusable, easy to use, wash it out, not throw it away, not have to replace it, just keep it clean, is the metal filter. Nice and fine, it's really super fine mesh, you can see on that one. And then the other one is for the coffee geeks and the coffee weirdos. That's me, and that's why I have it. This guy is glass, and it goes in here like this, nice and gently, and you can still use the same brew method, and it still works of the same setup, although you will experience a little bit more. So the difference is you will experience a little bit more sediment. So the difference is between the three is, as you can imagine, each one of them are going to deliver a different cup, and for their own purposes. This guy is the cleanest of the cups, and it filters everything out and captures everything. This guy is going to let the oils through and some tiny little amounts of sediment. What have I done now? And then you've got this one that's going to, it's a bit rude, doesn't it? But
That's a different show.
you're all thinking that I just
That
said
delivers
it.
the drink.
Oh, I'm sorry about that, that's just me. Anyway, so this guy also, there's tiny little dimples around around this back edge here, and that's what's going to allow for the really tiny pieces of coffee grounds and the oils to get through. So the rest of it the majority gets trapped on top and allows a small amount to continue getting down through there and into the brew chamber. How does it work? What we do, there's a couple of different things. What we do is you assemble the unit with the filter. Which one are we going to use, Gracie? You choose. We're going to use mesh. This one? Alright, we're going to use the mesh filter. Alright, so we slide the mesh filter in. I'm going to show you a couple of different shortcuts on how I do this to keep the process moving along. It's also much more beneficial for you guys at home to do it this way as well. So I'm just going to give you the principles of how this works initially, and then we're actually going to brew some. So you put this together, you make sure you've got a good seal. Everything you're seeing me doing is not with force because of how delicate it is made, and because of I have broken a ton of these things, and experience will tell me to tell you guys that the major parts to watch out for if you do buy one is that this in here, the thin neck of this is liable to being, if you shake it and you actually accidentally tap the edge of the sink, like that one over there, you will snap this off. If you're not careful when you're drying it, you will snap it off. If you bump it, you will snap it off. So it's something to be aware of, something to be careful with. And so principally how this works, it works on pressure. And it works on a vacuum and it works on pressure, all at different stages. So what we do is we put the water in here. Like I said, we're going to do a practice run. We're actually not going to make the water move, but we light our little Perco gas flamethrower. We put it under the bottom here. We crank it right up, and what happens is the water heats, creates steam. The steam then builds and builds and builds in the pressure. The pressure of the steam then pushes the water back up through the middle, up into the brew chamber. And what we do is in my brew methods, I hold the water up here for about a minute and a half. It kind of ends up anywhere between 45 seconds and a minute, honestly, in brew time. The water gets held up here and bubbles just momentarily, meaning that it's at correct temperature. We add coffee, we turn the flame off and we move this flame aside, and then what happens is, because now we've removed the flame, we're actually creating a vacuum. As the chamber cools, the change in atmospheric pressure gets reversed, and so it starts cooling and it creates a siphon effect, and that's why this is called a siphon, obviously. But it creates a vacuum for the extraction and the coffee brewing up here, and then to be pulled down through the middle. It gets actually pulled down through that filter and then back into this brew chamber. And as it cools, it continues to pull down until everything's out of here, and then we're done. So we can disconnect the brew chamber, and then we can put it back over here in our little stand, and then you'll have coffee ready to go. So enough of the rambling and the talking and how it could work. A couple of things to use. Remember, we're using fresh ground coffee. We can, actually Gracie can get us some coffee ready. And what we'll do is we're going to help shorten the process, and this is what I recommend for you guys at home, is boil the water first. So I'm actually going to use the Mr. Coffee. I'm actually going to use the Mr. Coffee gooseneck kettle, purely because it makes it so much easier to put it into this little hole up here without hurting myself or the kids, or you know, making a big mess around the place. So
The dog running by.
and the dog running by, she's locked up right now. Matilda. All our pets are named Australian, aren't they?
Yep, Skippy. No one even named the cat and dog. You named it.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I named one of our cats. I wanted to name Matilda Ballerina because I love that.
You named one? What's our bird called? What's our budgie called? Oh, we've got a budgie.
Well, I named like 3.
Hang off your face.
Jingles, Bubbles,
Alright, so
and
22 grams, the ratio for this one.
Snow.
The ratio for this one is 22 grams of coffee for the 5 mark on here, because I'm only making it for 2 of us. And we'll get Grace, you want to do me a favour? So what we'll do is we'll get a little container. What are we going to use today? Let's use something fun.
There's Hambella up here.
Yeah, let's use Hambella. That's a fun coffee.
So this is a passport collection.
So grab the Hambella,
That's that one.
open it up. Just see where it pulls.
And why do we have something called a passport collection, Scotty?
That's so. So I want the long version or the short version. Hey, just look what's happening there. Passport collection gives me, the roaster, the opportunity to, and I want you to turn the scale on. And then we want to, does it say G there? Little G? Yep, so I want 22. Gently, so that it comes out quick. And so the reason for passport is that in competition season, I get to bring in lots of different exotic coffees and lots of different coffees throughout the year to experiment with and to play with, and also to have access to some amazing coffees that I know that are out there. Ethiopia Hambella, that's good. Okay, now we'll put it on the grinder. Ethiopia Hambella is one of my coffees that I try and get my hands on every year. Beautiful coffee. It's a natural process, super fruity. This one here, let me just see. Pop it in there. Pop it in the top. Underneath there, and then press the play button.
Where's
Play, that one right there. Alright, so Ethiopian Bella. Oh, you're filming? Alright. So we've gone back to the Baratza settee. It's our go-to home grinder. We've ground 23 grams of coffee to drip filter style coffee, to drip filter style grinds. And we'll add the water, and we'll keep that aside right now. So here's the trick. I've just boiled water over there in the kettle. I'll add the water to the required amount that I want. The reason for preheating it is because, one, it shortens the whole process time-wise. 2, you don't burn up so much gas in the little micro burner. And it helps get everything nice and warm, pre-warmed and ready. So we'll add that up to the line that I'm looking for. I'll tell you what, that umbrella smells amazing. Just grinding that coffee, it's crazy. Beautiful, crazy coffee. All right, so we're up to the line that I wanted. We'll reassemble the equipment. Pop that one in there, making sure the seal is good. Remember, everything's going to be warm or hot now, so be careful what you touch. Start the burner. All right, and I've got a timer over here, so I'm going to set my little timer up. This is not completely necessary. You can, you know, when you're at home, you can rough it. As you can see, now here's the trick. You're watching what we're doing, and while I'm talking, you can see the water already coming up into the top chamber. And that is because we've sealed off the 2 chambers, and the water pressure and the steam within here is already starting to move the water up into the top chamber. So this is a quick process. I'm going to set the flame down fairly low. This one, I'm going to try and talk my way through it. This will move fairly quickly because we've got preheated water there. I'm going to grab my coffee. I've got a little bit of a stirrer here from the AeroPress equipment. So what I'm going to do, here's how I do it. There's many different methods. Many different people are going to use their methods. I use this method. It works for me. I know it delivers a great coffee. To the 5 line, we put some heat under it. We'll get the coffee to the top. The key to this, when I add my coffee, is when the surface tension breaks and I actually get bubbles rush up into the brew chamber. It helps to break the surface tension, and it actually gets a great brewing at the same time. So I watch what's happening down here in the bottom chamber. I know it's getting close. We're watching up here in the top chamber. So as soon as we break water, break the tension and bubbles go everywhere like that. We add the coffee. We're on timer right now. So it all happens very quickly. I'm actually going to let some, be careful. Can you reach? Stir. Don't put your fingers down too close. Stir it. Okay. We'll do a quick stir. Paddle it around. We're at 15 seconds. I'm going to turn this off. I'm going to make sure all of the grounds are dissolved and we're a bit clumpy in there, but we'll get it going. 30 seconds. We'll turn the gas off. We'll move it aside. And so it's probably going to sit up here for another 15 seconds or so. So we'll see how my timing works. So you can see we've got good brew, good extraction. It's nice and cloudy up there, so we've got a great and already we're cooling down, so we already can see the coffee moving from the top chamber into the bottom. The fire's gone. The boys are happy. We've played with some fire.
Caveman coffee.
Caveman coffee is actually going to slow down here, and it'll take a little while, and so it helps with the extraction of it all. That's why I only say at the top there, 30 seconds is plenty, because we're already at a minute 15 in brew extraction time. So the amount of time that the coffee has been interacting with the water and the extraction is happening. We want to make sure this is a really clean, light brewing method. So if you're after that big, heavy body, muscly, thick coffee, this is not your method. That's more of a method for a French press or the Bagliete. This is more of a classic, really high-end fruity coffees. This brings out, I think this method, people ask me about it a lot. This method versus a pour over, this method brings out more sweetness flavors, more sweeter flavors in the coffee than let's say a pour over, and the pour over brings out the more cleaner, more higher acidity and fruit forward flavors. I mean, not fruit forward in comparative, but this brings out the sweet fruit flavors, and the pour overs bring out the acidity and the fruit flavors. So I love this method purely because I'm a sweet tooth, one, but two, because it's fun and it brings out those sweeter tones within the coffees. And it's fun. You look at it and it's a pretty flash setup. something to impress your friends if you're looking for that sort of thing. Like Amy said, we've got some high-end restaurants and places that serve this tableside, so of course it's very visually attractive and very, and fun. So the end of the brew process, we're done now. I've just hit 3 minutes total, and not all of that time was spent in extraction, which is good because you don't want to extract too much of the not so pleasant flavors, which is another coffee lesson of its own in the perfect realm of extraction. So we just pull this apart. I know it looks hot. It is warm, but it is big to be careful. And these little contraptions are pretty well insulated. We just give it a bit of a wiggle. So I run it around in circles. It comes out quite easily. Put it in this little stand and set it aside. I'll clean that up after. And then it's a 1 cup for me. Actually, it's going to be enough for 2, like I said. So 1 there. Like I said, anyway, it's enough for 2. We can experiment with our fun cups again and pour it in there. It's very deceiving of how much coffee is actually held in this little chamber, but there you go. So that's the siphon. Enough for 2 people in the morning, and you could do it multiple times over if you needed to. Where else, Matt?
Should have gotten the stand and stuff.
What I think that we have a few reminders before we end, right? New free shipping code
New free shipping code?
is WFH March.
And that stands for
Work from home March.
There
Work
you go.
from home, caffeinate from home.
brew
See?
from home.
Wash your hands.
See, there, I'm even getting updates. WFH?
Yes.
What? Free
March.
I know it's hard. WFH March.
WFH March, is that all in lowercase or uppercase?
All in uppercase, and that
Uppercase.
will give you free shipping, but you do have to choose the free shipping
Yeah, that's the
option.
Couple of things, folks. The free shipping code WFH March, all one word, all uppercase. That will get you free shipping. But please, at checkout, make sure you click the free shipping button also. You'll get multiple choices. We are refining our website as we go. We are experiencing a couple of little bits and pieces along the way. Be patient. Please also remember that we're not giving refunds, okay? So if you are in your cart, please ensure that you are ordering what you are looking for. If it's whole bean, then please make sure it's whole bean. We have that option on every single coffee. If it's ground for drip, please make sure you mark it as ground for drip. A lot of the times, yeah, that's enough said on that. Just please make sure it's enough that we're offering free shipping, and we're doing that to make sure the coffee gets out to all you guys, and it's good for you all. So please ensure you can help us, help look after us. Buy more, tell your friends, but please make sure you pick the right coffee that you're looking for. Make sure it's ground if it's ground, and make sure it's whole bean, it's whole bean. So make sure, just take your time, little couple extra minutes will go and be helpful along the way.
We wanted to shout out a couple of our customers too that are still open, doing some takeout, doing some fun stuff. Yesterday we picked up a cupcake decorating kit from Nina's Fresh Bakery in Jupiter. So she's on Center Street, and you can pre-order these. And this was a lot of fun.
These guys actually did all these. So this is all home decorated. So these guys were doing it all last night. I just had the luxury of eating them after the fact. So Jordy made an American flag. There was a couple of, Gracie made a beach scene. There was a starfish over here before by Miss Amy, and there's a whole bunch of different bits and pieces.
And it comes with all of the things you need to decorate, so you don't even need to go try to find anything. Nina sticks it all in the box for you.
Yep, I made this really beautiful beach scene yesterday. I think you took pictures of it?
I did. Great job, buddy.
The ground.
Grab that.
We've got another customer who is still open. I know they've sold out of their amazing Sunday night dinner, but Culinary Cafe is doing something called Pig in a Pickle right now. So just check them out for next week. But really amazing food. If you're sick of eating beans at home, you know, support one of our local customers.
Actually, we had them
and
last
order some
weekend. We visited Tim and Jen last weekend and grabbed. I had a fried chicken burger, fried chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
It was good. So if you get the opportunity, give them a shout out, check them out. Couple other bits and pieces from us. I don't know if any of you guys know, but I've been messing around with chocolate along the way and been making it with only 3 ingredients. I only use raw, natural ingredients in my dark chocolates. That is cacao nibs, cocoa butter, and sugar, organic, and that is all that I use. So keep an eye out for a brand on its way up and coming. Coolabah chocolate, named after the coolabah tree in Walsing, Matilda, for the Australian side of things. I was very surprised, very lucky and fortunate and honoured to be awarded a Good Food Medal. So if any of you know about a Good Food Medal, if you don't, check it out. But it is awarded only to the top 15 in the country. So first round out, first year out, Coolabah chocolate scored a Good Food Awards medal. So it's pretty weighty, pretty honourable, and yeah, I was stunned and surprised. But the chocolate that we entered was absolutely stunning. I took it direct from, it was one buyer then to the farm out of Guatemala. It was an amazing chocolate. But we're continuing to make these in very, very small batches. It's just me right now, so the batches are small. When I get the chance to get out and get them done, I do. Right now, this week I've got a dark chocolate and a dark milk chocolate. So check them out. They're available at the stores. They're not available online at all at this moment. In months to come, when we start ramping up production, we start ramping up some kind of volume, and we get past this craziness right now, this will be available online. But if you're a chocolate lover, check it out. Available at both of our stores. And yeah. So guys and girls, I hope this has been fun. I hope it's been educational. I hope it's been something that's of benefit for you guys. We're going to do this tomorrow morning.
Yep, tomorrow morning.
If you're going to, please, I'd love to tell your friends and family and whoever else. The more people we have interacting with us, the better. I love questions and love hearing how I can help you guys out there and do what we do. It is so much more fun for me if you guys are asking questions. I can, dig into the knowledge base that I have and answer questions and get through that and help out wherever I can. Tomorrow, who knows what we're playing with? I think we're playing with machines, and we'll try and keep it short and
AeroPress.
sweet.
We'll try to do some milk frothing at home.
Milk frothing, yeah. We'll see what we can do there. We'll mess around with that. We'll keep this to an hour. So yeah, please share with it. Share your friends. Share with your friends. Share with your neighbours.
Keep drinking coffee.
Keep drinking coffee and bourbon.
Wash your hands, drink
Wash your
Oceana
hands.
coffee. Wash your hands, drink Oceana coffee.
Do it again. All right, guys. Thanks so much. See you tomorrow.